Welcome back to the Move with Purpose podcast, and today I am joined by a fabulous guest, Sabrina Dennis, wife, mother, CEO, change maker, trailblazer, but most importantly, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Oh, bless you. You know what? The last part, most importantly, your friend, that's the most important part.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Today
we're going to be
digging into this topic of pivot and what that means to you and how you've had to pivot at each different stages of your life. So I can't wait to dig into it. But I kind of wanted to start with a bang, Sab. And I wanted you to tell me about the earliest memory of your childhood where you had to pivot.
Leaving my primary school, which was in Handsworth Wood in Birmingham. Went to St. Teresa's, and I met someone yesterday, actually, weirdly enough, from my primary school.
Oh, wow.
That was so creepy. But it was leaving there, which was very diverse, very Black, Asian, everybody's school, and going to my senior school, which was in upper class Sutton Coldfield. Only Black girl in the year group. And I remember walking in on that year 7 day when the rest of the school isn't there, but it's just like year 7s, and everyone sat on the school hall floor. And they've called out all the primary schools, so like into groups. So they've got like Town Junior used over there, Warmley, Deanery used over there, St. Teresa's, and it was just me. And I got up and I had to just sit there in the middle, like by myself. And I remember thinking, okay, I think now I look back on it, like that's wild to be in such a kind of like unique position, but also to feel quite isolated in such a big, busy room full of people.
Yeah.
And I think it was the first time I realised that I'm not coming from where all these people are coming from. So I'm automatically now going to be like, oh, she's the girl from Birmingham. Because when you lived in Sutton Coldfield, you're from Birmingham, even though Sutton Coldfield is in Birmingham.
They're separated,
They're separated. And very much different ways of life, different way of being. So I remember that was like a very vivid thing. As you said it, that's exactly what comes to mind. Just sitting in the hall and there's all these children, all white, a couple of Asian and me. Wow.
And when you say that, I can really resonate with that, because I remember going to dance school. Mom was trying to get me into dance, and every class she sent me to, I was the only Black girl in the space. And when I think about what that did to my confidence, it mashed me up.
Yeah.
For a good period of time. And I didn't realise it until I came home one day from dance and I said to my mom, I want straight long hair.
Because you want to fit in.
Yeah.
Because you want to be like your peers. You don't want to be like different. But difference is beautiful. But we don't want that. At that age, we don't understand that. And I guess for me at that age, I was just like, where have my parents brought me to?
Yeah.
Like,
were you rebelling? What did it do to you
I
emotionally?
wasn't rebelling. I think as a person, I've always been quite an obedient person and quite an obedient child. So I kind of rode the wave.
Okay.
But I also can remember doing things to try and fit in. So I started to speak like them. I started to kind of look at the clothes that I wore. And at the time, was no name brand, none of that stuff. So I remember, I think it was like year 7, summer holidays, going into year 8. I went to America for like 6 weeks. My mum sent me to my auntie's house with my brother, and we stayed in America. And I remember buying the Nike trainers. I remember buying the branded stuff, because I couldn't go back to school and be this girl lived in Great Bar, went to school in Handsworth Wood, where all that stuff wasn't really an issue in primary school. I don't remember talking about brands and labels. We talked about now it's important. And also it's important that I don't sound too far away from my friends. I need to fit in. I need to blend. Hair was never a thing. If anything, hair was like a big topic and talking point. And it always is for me, obviously. It was relaxed. So it was just the thing. Went from primary school to secondary school. Everybody got their hair relaxed back in the day. So it was straight already. It was long, shoulder length hair. I blended in that way. In America, I got my hair cut into a bob.
Right.
So from like year 8, I've got this relaxed bob. So I kind of can fit in a bit, because my hair fits. I sound well-spoken. I try to speak with the correct vocabulary all the time. And I don't do anything that's going to sort of single me out.
Okay.
So I'm seen negatively. So I did very much to conform. I worked really, really hard. We had this thing called effort scores at school. So you'd get a grade, which was A, B, C or whatever, and then your effort. And effort was 1 to 4. I wanted to get all 4s because all the high performing, high achieving girls that I were friends with were getting 4s. So I used to do that. And so it wasn't a bad thing. I guess I strived and I succeeded. I did really, really well at school. But I know that the environment forced me to have to think about how I present myself. It forced me to think, you can't deviate from what goes on here because you're going to be noticed. Like, blend in and you'll be fine. And that's how I kind of got through.
That's a positive thing. What was the negative thing?
Negatively, I guess the disconnection from what, and I look at this now, I guess hindsight is a really good thing, but the disconnection from not necessarily my culture, I'm very much into my culture, but knowing what's going on societally for my culture.
Right.
Man, I had no clue. Didn't know about gangs. I didn't know about all that stuff. Funnily, I'm working in that sector now, but it was very much, I didn't understand challenge in that kind of way, or disenfranchised young people, or the ideology that you could grow up in a single parent home and end up doing stuff on the streets. Like, that wasn't, I wasn't aware.
Did you just feel disconnected from it, or just had no idea?
Not even disconnected. I had no idea.
No way.
I only knew this sort of stuff when I kind of left school and went to college.
Right.
And I was like, wow, people like do that sort of stuff.
Where more people looked like you.
Yeah, way more people looked like me. I went to Sutton College. This is a different kettle of fish now.
Yeah.
Completely different.
I went to Sutton College, I can relate.
It's like, okay. I never went into the common room because I felt intimidated.
Okay.
Because I was like, I don't sound like them. Now I don't fit in with them because I've been here. I'm an A-grade student and I'm doing science at A-level and this sort of geeky stuff. And they will do like media and drama and performing arts and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. And they catch the bus, I walk home. Yeah. They go to like Erdington and further afield and I'm like nowhere near. And so I don't understand turn-ups. I don't understand edges. I don't understand fashion, urban youth culture. It's not part of my thing.
Wow.
Didn't dress like them, didn't sound like them, fit in. So that's, whether it's a negative, I don't know, but it's probably a negative experience where I probably thought, wow, God, there's so many different kinds of people. What kind of person am I? And who am I supposed to be then?
So going to college is another pivot.
Yeah.
Because now you're around people that look like you, but it's almost having to readjust to what that looks like.
I struggled massively initially with college. Like, I didn't, and it's one of the reasons why I've told my girls, you're not allowed to go to college. Yeah. Because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I went to college because I was just fed up of school and sixth form. And I think every 16-year-old is like that. They're like, I want to go and see the world and
independence.
I want independence and I want to go and see stuff. And at the time, when I think about what I wanted to be, which was a doctor, I had to be a cardiothorac surgeon when I was at school, right? So I was going to do sciences. I should have stayed at school, really, in hindsight. Kids, stay at school, don't leave. I went to college because I felt that it would be a better experience. Okay. And it was a life experience. Like, I learned life skills. I met people. I met my best friend at college. That's how I met my husband. So lots of good things happened. Yeah. Lots of diversity. I'm speaking to people that are so much older than me. Like, everybody was an adult at college. I was 16 and they were like 17, 18, 19. Yeah. They were driving. It was just like another world of, they were going out. I wasn't going out until I got to college. Like, loads of things. I started wearing makeup when I got to college. I got a weave when I got to college. Like, loads of things changed when I got to college compared to school, when I was just like,
in this bubble,
kind of safeguarded and protected from the wider world, which again, isn't necessarily good because I didn't have that street sense. I didn't know what I didn't know. So
where do you go after college?
So after college, oh goodness me, where do I go? I go to many places, Romanah. I stayed at college, did 2 years, did my A-levels, passed my A-levels, but didn't get high enough grades to do medicine. And obviously it's really, really competitive. And I was at a loss. I was like, I don't know what to do, because all I've ever thought of myself is as this cardiothoracic surgeon and I'm going to save lives and all of that. And I didn't really know. So I went to uni in Manchester and I did something so random, international business and hospitality management.
Wow.
Because you've done science. What are you doing? I went to Manchester and I did that.
And you moved away?
Moved away. So I went to Manchester, whole other city, different people again. In this, my halls of residence weren't finished being built. So we were moved into this condemned building.
Oh, wow.
That was falling down. And I tell you, it was disgusting. Honestly, it was so gross. It was like 24 rooms on the floor, and there was like shower rooms in between like 12 rooms. So it was like 12 people sharing one bathroom. Horrendous. This kitchen area you couldn't use because the wires are hanging out of stuff.
Oh, no.
And it was proper like, oh my God, I'm in hell. Yeah. I'm like, my mum and dad dropped me to uni. It's called Loxford Tower. The tower was that we were in, literally a tower block, on Oxford Road in Manchester. And they dropped me off. My mum made my bed up, put my stuff in my room, sprayed it all with nice spray, and then said, see, and crying, walked out and left me there.
Wow.
And the thing that everybody said on the floor was leave your door open. So that's how you'll make friends. And I made friends really quickly, but they were white people. So here we go. We've gone back to school. Yeah.
Right.
My course is interesting. All white, English, British girls that I made friends with, and actually who I stayed and lived with for like a year and a half before I came back to do placement. And one black girl.
Wow.
One black African girl. That was it. And it was interesting because I remember thinking, this is like school again.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Actually, everybody was really lovely. I did well. But then second year came round, placement year. 360, come back home. Now it was international course, so I was supposed to go abroad.
Okay.
But by this time, before I'd left to go to uni at 18, I'd met Nathan.
Right.
So I don't want to leave him. I don't want to go abroad. Blah, 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 blah. And also my family were going through a massive transition. It was at the time when I went to uni that my mum and dad's marriage broke down. Right. So they were going through a divorce, and I just knew that I couldn't leave my brother in particular.
Right.
And my mum, I just didn't feel comfortable. So I said, can I do my placement for an international brand, but in the UK? Can I stay at home? Ended up doing my placement at a hotel 5 minutes walk from my house.
No way.
So I went home. Moved back home. Pivot
in
again.
In the midst of your parents getting a divorce.
Parents getting a divorce. Second year of uni, doing my placement year. We're not together. We are together. Me and Nathan. We're on, we're off, we're on, we're off, we're on. I fall pregnant.
Wow.
In my second year of uni.
And how old are you?
20. Wow. So now we're pivoting again.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's running through your mind? You get that positive pregnancy test. You're in your second year of uni.
Oh, God.
What
I'd forgotten, and I can remember this because I was thinking, it was only when the placement coordinator said, have you got pregnant on your placement year? Yeah. Because placement was like work.
Right.
So I was getting up every day, going to work, and I'd forgotten that this was actually linked to my course. It's not life. Like, I was just living. I was getting paid. I was doing this and that. I had a whole thing, and it was good. Everything was good. I was at home. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a relationship. Well, we are, but not. We are now. And it was April Fool's Day when I found out I was pregnant.
So it wasn't even really like true for you right now. You're still trying to like process.
What is happening here? No, my friend said, it's like, I think I've missed a period. I don't know what it is. It feels like ages ago since I last had a period. I was obviously not that organised at all with that stuff back then. I am way better now. But then I was just like, whatever. And she's like, oh, you should get a test. And I was like, well, where'd you do that? Because I don't have the street sense. So I'm not getting pregnant in my head. So this is not even a conversation I need to be having with anyone about where you go or protection and stuff like that. Just didn't occur to me. So I remember going to the BPAS.
Yeah.
And it was in town where the train station is. I don't know if it's still there now, but in Birmingham, opposite the back of the train station. And I went in there and it was all these steps to get to the top. So I walked up there feeling quite sick and nervous and what are they going to tell me?
Yeah.
And did the test. And she said, congratulations, you are pregnant. We confirm your pregnancy test. And I remember going, thank you, taking this piece of paper off her. She's like, we're here if you need any help or support.
Yeah.
And having to look to walk back down them steps, and them steps look like a spiral staircase. Like, I remember thinking, how am I going to get to the bottom of this stairs? I'm going to probably pass out or be sick or drop down, but I did. I managed it. And then I phoned my best friend Jamie and I said, Jamie, you're pregnant. Did I phone my mum? Did I phone her? She's like, well, have you told Nathan? I said, no. Right, I'm picking you up and I'm taking you there to tell him now.
Were you scared?
I was terrified. I think it's probably the most scared in my life I've been. Like, I am pregnant. This isn't the plan. How am I here? Okay.
What now?
Yeah. So I phoned him and told him he didn't believe me. It's April Fool's, remember?
Yeah.
So I've gone to the house and I've just given him the piece of paper and I've walked off. I'm like, see, I'm not lying. It's not April Fool's. I'm serious. And I gave it him, the result sheet, paper. It was about that big. And I walked away. I ran off, like, get back in the car. I didn't wait, didn't ask him. He's like, then he called me. He's like, why are you walking off? Why are you running away? And I was like, I don't know.
What were you running from?
I think I was really running from the reality of like,
okay, what is happening?
Yeah. And I didn't want to face it. And it was him and where we are, because our relationship isn't really like confirmed.
Right.
Like we've gone through ups, downs, rounds. I've gone to uni, he's cheated. All these different things have happened in this season. So I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. But one thing I did know at that very moment is that this baby was going to be born.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew there was just no
ifs and buts about that.
There was no other way around it. I didn't know any other way. So in my head, it's, well, we're here now. We're now having a baby. we're gonna be fine. You're
and that
smart.
was regardless of what Nathan thought.
Regardless,
you knew in your mind.
In my head, I'll be okay because I've always been okay. I'll be okay. I've learnt to be here. I've learnt to be there. Things are absolutely upside down, but we'll be okay. Like I can get a job. I'm a smart child. I've got good grades. I'm gonna be fine. We'll work this out. That's kind of.
So tell me about when you bring this news to your mom and your parents. What does that look like? What's their reaction?
So this is it's interesting that you say that, because with my mom, I remember telling her, and she was mortified. But then she was so happy.
Really?
I was like, what is happening? This is not the normal response. You're supposed to want to beat me or something. Like, this isn't normal, because everything's going like belly up.
Yeah.
We having to move. The house that I've grown up in Sutton is now up for sale. We have to move. My mom's got to split assets and this and that. Right. There's quite a lot of stress and really, really horrible scenarios going on with the marriage and divorce and stuff. My brother is, how old's my brother? My brother's like 13. So he's just like trying to live, but he's had trauma from my dad. There's loads of stuff, right? Loads and loads of stuff. And here I come with now more things.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling her, we're having a baby, there's nowhere to live. There's this and that. There's like upside down. And she was actually mortified for about half an hour.
Okay.
Then it was excitement.
Elated.
Then it was, let's go shopping. Let's go. I'm coming with you. I'm going to be with you. Way. And the love and the support that she surrounded me with genuinely was amazing. Like I never felt like, oh my God, I'm a terrible child, or I've done anything terrible, or it's the end of the world. She didn't make me feel that way, actually. She was like, well, let's get to work. Let's make a plan. And she was just excited, super duper excited. And I think Tamina was literally the ray of hope that I think everybody, there's so many sides, but my mum needed, Nathan's family needed. Tamina was born and ended up bringing so many people together. Wow. So I don't think, I didn't tell my dad, I don't remember telling my dad. I think he found out. Because at that time, my relationship with my dad was just there was no relationship at all. It was very, very broken. And so I think he found out. Okay. I think he found out I was probably like 7 months pregnant, so near enough the end. Yeah. Yeah. And he never actually said anything that I can remember.
I can really relate to that moment of Tamina bringing the family together and a sense of joy. When we fell pregnant with Rain, my mum had just come out of a coma. Yeah. 2 weeks fresh out of a coma. And I remember finding out I was pregnant and just being like, this isn't the timing. But the joy that she brought to the family at just the right time. It's like God knows what you need in the moment, even before you know it.
Absolutely. And even when you think that this could be catastrophe. Yeah. It's funny how God will turn around what we think is bad and make it good. Yeah. Because that's exactly what happened. I was like, this can't be right. This can't be good. Like I'm going to have to pull out all the stops and do lots of like work and all of this stuff. And my mom was just like,
had you back?
And always has.
So how do you pivot into mom mode whilst being in your second year at uni? Do you leave uni? What did that look like?
So my intention was always to go back to uni, but I dropped out. Let's be honest. I fully dropped out. Yeah. Like this wasn't happening. Uni was in Manchester. I'm in Birmingham. Well, I'm in Sutton Coldfield because that's not Birmingham, is it? But I had options to transfer my course, but I knew Manchester was a better uni. There was loads of options and I just said, forget it. I'm just going to leave it. And I left it. and I focused for a bit on being a mom. Okay. I had to figure out where I was going to live. Yeah. So mum and a friend got me this little, it wasn't even little, it was actually really big, 2-bedroom flat in Great Bar. It was beautiful, actually. Spacious, massive lounge diner. Tamina had a room, we had a room, everything it was nice. And then I kind of moved in there, but there was nothing. There was no furniture, there was no carpet, there was nothing. And at the time, I mean, I'm speaking about these things, but so many things are happening kind of like at the same time. So I started going to church.
Yeah.
It was at the time, it was when I was around 8 or 9 months, I started going to church. So Nathan's mom said to me, "Oh, you want to come to church one Sunday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll just come because I'm not doing anything now. I'm heavily pregnant. My placement had ended. I'm now going to have a baby soon." So we started going to church. And then 1 or 2 weeks after going, somebody had prayed for me at the altar. And I was like, okay, I could do this. And I thought, well, it might be good to always come to church because people in church seem like they're okay at it. Yeah. Everybody seems like they're fine.
So it seems,
so
right?
It seems. So let's not say no more on that topic. But yeah, everything's okay when you're in church. And I wanted to be around good people. I want Tamina to be raised around positivity. So I'm going to keep coming to church. So I did. And there was also this thing that we needed to get her christened. Right. So keep coming to church, your face is kind of known. Had Tamina, we need to get her dedicated. And they said, oh, you need to come consecutively, 6 weeks consecutively in a row. Like, you can't miss it. You need to show your commitment that you're coming to church. Like 6 weeks. Nathan, we've got to go to church for 6 weeks. We are just about okay, like as parents, we're living in separate places, but he's at home, I'm at my apartment. No, I'm at my mum's and then I'm at this flat. And we're coming together, but we're coming to church. There's one thing we were always doing was going to church at that point. And it was a week before her dedication when the spirit in the church changed completely and it fell. This woman stood up, her name was Wendy, and she stood up and she prophesied to the church, like, get baptized soon, Jesus is coming soon. You need to get baptized, repent and be saved, get baptized. Someone was like, I was shaking. Oh my God.
You knew she was talking to you,
Knew she was talking to me. I felt like she was talking straight at me, but she was at the back of the church. And the whole thing is happening. So like the whole, you know, when the spirit falls in church, everybody's moved in one way or another. So I found myself at the altar. I was like, you know, I'm going to go to the altar.
And you're still pregnant at this point?
I've had Tamina at this point. Just had Tamina. This is a week before her dedication is due to happen. So I'm at the front. So at the front, bawling, crying. They're praying for me. And they're saying, do you love Jesus? And I'm saying, yes. And I remember thinking, I do, but I don't even know what I'm saying, but I do. I know I do. And do you want to be baptized? Yes. I want to be baptized. So in my emotions and everything, and I look up and Nathan's at the other end of the altar and he's having his own experience. And it transpires that both of us have said, we both want to be baptized. And we say, you know what, we're going to be baptized next week at our daughter's christening.
No way.
So yeah, we got baptized on the 5th of May, 2005. And she was dedicated on the same day. We had a whole christening. You know what a black christening is like?
It's not small.
It's not, mate. Tamina's the first grandchild. Yes. So like for a long time, there's no babies. We're bringing, I mean, people that I haven't seen for ages together. I'm bringing my dad together who I haven't really seen since I've been pregnant. He's probably seen her once, I think. My mom, everybody, people from London, people from here, there and everywhere.
Reunited.
This whole thing Tamina has brought everybody together. Wow. We didn't tell anybody that we were going to be baptized.
Okay, so it's a nice surprise.
So this was like, Sabrina's depressed, or Sabrina's something's wrong with Sabrina because she's gone to the church. She's turned Christian. She's gone to the church. Maybe she's depressed. Nathan's a roadman and now he's getting saved. What are you talking about? Roadman getting saved? But it happened, and there were so many questions that people asked us. So we'd gone from this couple who weren't really sure what we were doing to then be like, yeah, we're having a baby, so we're going to try and make this thing work. And then it's like, well, actually, we love God.
Yeah.
So we now have a faith that we're going to use our faith to help us and guide us in our future and what we do next. And that's essentially what has happened ever since. So yeah, I went from that to that. being a saved woman, we sacrificed our relationship. We were still together, but we didn't live together.
Right.
We didn't sleep together. We didn't do anything. We literally said we're gonna live like we're starting again.
Okay.
A new life, a new start.
Slate.
Yeah.
Pivot again, right?
Pivot again. Learning how to be a Christian. No one's Pentecostal in my family that's close to me. It's like I grew up going to church, but it was like United Reform. No. Kind of quiet, praying church. I'm in this Pentecostal, loud, Holy Ghost filled environment. People are speaking in tongues. What is this noise? Oh my God, I can't cope, but I'm learning. I'm going to learn.
What's really beautiful about when you share that is I think about mine and Omar's relationship, and he was a Rasta when I met him. So he was just like not associated with this idea of Jesus Christ. Who is that? Yeah. And then I get baptized. He witnesses that. And I start witnessing to him just as a friend at this point. And we're debating about God. And then he finds this church. He finds New Jerusalem.
I remember him coming to our church. I do.
And he was going for about a year on and off. And then I remember him saying, I'm going to give my life to the Lord.
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it?
And I'm screaming from inside like, yes! Maybe we could be together now because we're going to be on the same page.
Yes.
I love that. God knows when to call you, right?
Oh my gosh. Every second of the day. I think one of the first things I ever learned in church and being saved was understanding the voice of God.
Right.
Understanding to listen to the voice of God. I think if there's anything that saved me in this walk, it's that I have really trained myself to listen to the voice of God and believe that everything's going to be okay, and have that like unwavering faith even when it gets hard. And trust me,
and what does that look like? Like, what practical tools do you give yourself to lean into that voice?
Knowing that if I've been here and if I have left uni and I've had to leave home and I've had a baby at 20, which isn't that young to some people, but it's mad young to me. If we've been married and lost everything, like all the experiences in life, and I've always come through, and I've watched my mum go through things, but always come through. And I think not because of her own faith, but because of my faith in that God's never going to leave you, even when it's horrible, even when it's hard, even when you're crying, even when you want to throw in the towel, and he throws it back at you, says, come on, wipe your face, get on with it. Those are the things I said it. I think I said it even this week. Like, I know that we have been in some really dark places and times in our lives as a married couple and as an individual. I am probably coming towards an end of a very dark period in my life this year.
Wow.
And people wouldn't know that, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of trauma that I've experienced this year. But I've just hung on to what God has told me, that the just shall live by faith.
Yeah.
That's the first scripture I ever got. I never really understood what it meant, but you got to live by faith, and faith is the unseen things. You've got to persevere even when you're not getting the results that you want to get. You've got to endure to the end, because it's not a swift race, it's a marathon, but you can't get weary in well doing. You've got to keep going. Those are the scriptures, those are the 3 words, those are the anchors that I've
cling and cleave to.
Honestly, when everything is falling down, the true constant in my life has been Jesus Christ, even when I didn't know.
Wow.
I know I sound like I'm preaching, right?
You are. I love it. You've got the platform to do it. This is what the podcast is about. So you've got Tamina.
I have.
You're now a mom of 4.
Oh gosh, I know. So much has happened.
So much has happened. So each child must have caused you to pivot in a different way.
Yeah.
Talk to me about motherhood.
Motherhood, my God. This is why they have so many parenting books, right?
Yeah.
And self-help guides. And women probably drink more than they should.
Yeah.
Because motherhood will literally test you, every element of your being, because you bring a beautiful baby into the world and you want this child to be the best that they can be. You want to love them, you want to protect them, you want to expose them to great things, but they have personalities, they come with their wants and their needs. Some of them don't sleep, some of them don't stop crying, some of them are so social, you're like, can you just stop talking to strangers?
Yeah.
Like, we've got lots of different characters.
Wow.
I think motherhood for me has just been the best experience.
Wow.
I've learned, like right now I'm in this phase where our eldest she's turning 19 in November, right? So Tamina's nearly 19, and I'm having conversations with her that I'm like, I was looking at her yesterday like, who even are you?
She becomes like a friend, right?
She has become this amazing woman, and she's talk, and the way she talks, I'm like, did you just say that?
Yeah.
Did that come out of your mouth? She's telling me about her hopes, her dreams, her vision. She's like, oh, this is overrated. I mean, a friend, a great friend, but someone I am incredibly proud of.
I love that.
Because she's seen us in every element and out of all of them, she's seen everything.
Yeah.
She's been there when it's been no car. We're on the bus. We've got a double pram. Can't get to church. Like 3 years of, oh my God, are we ever going to have any money? Like, she's been there. She's been there when it's been up and it's like we can go on holidays. She's been there when we're like trying to make strategic decisions. She's been there.
Seen it all. Yeah.
Has a different appreciation for life. When she's talking to her friends, and I'm hearing her yesterday encouraging one of her friends that's failed his theory like 7 times. And she's like, go and buy the book, open up the laptop.
Yeah.
Go. She's giving him the idea. She's giving him she's like, yeah, I didn't pass first time. I had to do it 3 times and I've done it, and I'm going to do my driving test, and you can do it. But I'm listening to her and I'm thinking she's had experience. She's failed at stuff. She's won at stuff.
Do you see yourself in her?
She keeps telling me she's just like me. I see Nathan in her.
Really?
Yeah. Like she thinks she's just like me, and maybe, but she's her dad. Her hustler side, like mentality. Like this girl at one point had 3 jobs. Yeah. Now she's got 1, and she's like,
yeah.
And she's focusing on flying and all these different things. But she's definitely her dad. She's social like her dad. She's got she's networked. She knows people that I don't know, but Nathan knows who they are. Yeah. Like she's got friends from all the jobs she's done, and she's maintained a relationship. She's way better at me at that. She's just amazing, and they're all amazing, but in terms of being the first one and looking at our life and what we've done,
I can relate very much to that, because I'm the first for both my parents, and now my mom's got 2 kids, my dad's got 4, but there's this thing about being the first and growing with your parents that feels really special. Yeah. And I say to my brother sometimes, you weren't there those days, man. You don't understand when we had nothing. Yeah. We literally just have cornflakes.
Right.
Now you get to go for meals. You don't understand the struggle.
Yeah. Soft life.
But there's soft life for real. But there's something in that struggle that births greatness.
Yes.
And a lot of young people don't cleave to that these days. They just want to arrive.
They want popcorn.
Yes.
60 seconds in the microwave. I'm a superstar millionaire. I've got everything I need. Like, no. I mean, we do have jokes. Like, she's like, oh, can't I just wake up and be a pilot? I'm like,
no.
That's not how it works. But, and she knows that. But I guess one thing I didn't have growing up was the contention of social media. I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up with phones, really. We didn't have that stuff to deal with. So, like, I partly feel sorry for this generation in that way, where there's so much things plastered, so much things to look at, and it's very difficult to know what is right and wrong, what is true and false, because it's always there, and it all seems very consistent, and it all seems to be happening overnight, even though that overnight was 18 years long. It's all of that stuff that I didn't have to deal with.
One thing that really fascinates me about you is how you manage your home.
Okay.
And I remember coming to your book launch a couple of years ago when you released A Piece of the Pie.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away because I didn't know that much about you. You're quite a private person.
Yeah, I'll try to be.
Yeah, but the book was our opportunity to
get a bit more
and see how you manage marriage, business, motherhood, 4 girls. And I sat at that book launch and I was like, I want to write a book. You birthed something inside of me.
But yeah.
How do you manage it all?
Is it fair to say I manage it all? Or is it fair to say I know how to get help to manage it all? It's probably the latter.
I like that.
Because I think I think there's this preconceived idea that managing it all means you have it all together all the time. And there's nothing that drops. Trust me, there are times when the washing is sky high, and there are times when everything needs sorting out. There's times when there's no food in the fridge because I haven't done the shop. Like, things happen. Life is life, and things are in the way. But I guess I have a set of systems that I kind of developed from my mom. In terms of growing up in a Caribbean home on a Saturday. Everybody knows who's Caribbean, what that looked like, because that was cleaning, not going anywhere, putting on suit, etc. Washing clothes, folding up, putting away. But what I developed was the fact that because there's so many elements to my life, and because I work for myself and I own what I run, and there's lots of different things, I do have the luxury of flexibility that if you work for someone else, you might not have. But there are things that I do that just are universal, regardless of whether I've got a job or whether I'm meal planning, for instance. Like to this day, I wrote that book in 2018. To this day, I meal plan. And I've meal planned for the last 15 years.
And how much time does that save you?
Probably all the time in the world, because I don't think about food. When I haven't meal planned.
What does that look like?
So I'm actually thinking of doing a workshop on this.
Yeah.
And literally like, buy your food, come and sit down with me and I'll teach you how to do it. Because I just think, especially in the climate that we're living in, we waste a lot of time.
For sure.
And money on food, and food is expensive. I literally get together with my family, and I did it the other day because everybody's like different taste buds nowadays. So what was working then is not working now. But you want big dinner now. So I get a sheet of paper and I divide it up into a month. So Monday to Sunday. What I've started to do recently is add lunch into that because some of us are around more and it's not school and that. So, but essentially it was just for dinners. And so Monday to Sunday, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4. So for 4 weeks, there'd be a plan, a meal in each box.
Wow.
What we're going to have on Monday, week 3, what we're going to have this day. This grid is populated with meals. I am not saying to anyone right now, you have me. I'm not saying to do this. You could just do a week at a time. It might be easier, smaller and bite size. Just every day, you know what you're going to eat.
And do you batch cook it?
Yeah. So at the time when the girls was little, not so much now because there's no need. But when they were little, things like shepherd's pie, bologneses, all of that stuff, cooked, and I'd buy, those foil thingies, the Chinese foil thingies, right on the front, on the lid, what it was, freeze that. We'd have curry chicken, we'd have this, that, the other, all these things.
Wow.
And it would be just ready. I don't eat by emotion. So it's not like, what do I feel like? I could really fancy it now. We don't have time for that. We just eating because we need to live. We need to stay alive. We need to stay healthy. I factored in for fun. Once, at the time, it was like once a month we'd do takeout. Now it's probably a bit too much frequently. But it was always factored in. So if we're going to eat out, or if it was a birthday, or if it was Father's Day, Mother's Day, you've got to look at the week or the month and look, right, where am I going to be?
Right.
I do this for Christmas. So even Christmas, I'm almost done with my Christmas prep for food now.
No way.
This is just, I don't have the motivation to wait until December when everyone's running around like a crazy person. To panic buy. I do certain different things. I like Marks and Spencer stuff and this and that. So I do it that way, and it's done in advance. I've got time then to go and do something else. Who wants to do food shopping, please?
This is so valuable because food is something we can't lock down in our house.
Oh, God.
And before we had rain, me and Om would just be like, what are we eating today? Okay, cool. We'd go shop, buy it. Yeah. And then rain comes and I'm like,
what we
there's
eating?
another mouth to feed.
Oh, my God. What does she need to
feed
eat?
her today? What's going on?
What's she going to have? And so when I did it, when I first started, it wasn't so... It didn't because only 4, I guess, as more of us have come into play, and age ranges. So, there's like 2.5 years between the first 2.
Okay.
And there's a big 5-year gap, and then there's 18 months between the younger 2.
Wow.
So you can imagine having 2 babies together. There's a whole process, and there's routines and meals that you have to give them and all of that. So what I started to do was think, right, well, everyone is eating the same thing. In our house. I am not cooking different for the baby and different for the 17-year-old and different for the husband. No. We're all eating the ackee and saltfish together.
Absolutely.
So that's why they eat our cultural food, because there's no choice in the matter. You eat it.
Yeah.
We stick to a budget.
Okay.
So obviously our budget has had to change over
based on how many mouths
many years. Yeah. So we have a budget. But also, when you say, I'm on the way home, I forgot to take out the meat, or I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that. That meal plan stuck on the fridge.
So
anyone's in the house. You don't need to wait for me to do the food. Like, it's tuna pasta bake. Nathan, can you make it? Willow, can you make it? Aaliyah's 10 nearly. Can you make the tuna pasta bake? Tamina, can you do it? Anyone can do it. The food's in the house. I am not saying that if you don't want to eat that thing that's on that day, then there's something else in there, isn't there? But the food's there. Pick something, eat it. Let's get on with our lives.
Wow. Systems and organisation for the moms that are listening.
For food prep, it's important. And kids eat out your house and home, so you really do need to like have it on yeah, and you just take the stress out.
What is it like parenting your girls through transitional, pivotal moments in your personal life?
Yeah, this has been a hard one. Like even recently, so I've had like to deal with some very difficult family stuff in the last sort of 3 months alone.
Wow.
Yeah. So I could safely say I'm not there where I was. If you was to ask me this question maybe a month ago, I'd probably be crying. I'm like, I am not pivoting. I'm just standing still, suffering. But the best thing I ever did in this whole entire season, I would go as far as to say depressed, having very dark thoughts, having really kind of just a very low moment, was to tell them and be honest with them and say, and like, not the detail and the nitty gritty, they don't need to know that, but that I am not 100%. I can't socialize, I can't be on social media, I can't do things because I'm not in that space at the moment. I have to be honest with them. Right. I've been honest with them through miscarriage and loss. So we lost our baby 2011 it would have been when they were due. And I remember Ayana was with me when we had the scan and the thing was there. So she's our second daughter. Yeah. And she remember turning around to me and saying, "Why are you crying, Mommy? I'm still here." And I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, you are, and I'm sad. But let me tell you that I'm sad. Yeah. And I can honestly, if I'm totally honest and transparent, us as a family, sharing our truths of where we are, not necessarily everything, but just how we are feeling is vital. We are our family. We have to love each other, care for each other. If I'm not happy or if I'm going through something, equally if they are, then if I model that behaviour, I'll understand where they are in their lives and where they're feeling and what they're doing. So we've always been that. We do this thing once a week on a Monday called Family Service. It came about years ago. We were on holiday. It happened like, let's just get together. We pray. We share the gospel with each other. We think of a theme. The theme might be community, for instance. That was Aaliyah's favourite one. She always used to say community. So we'd look at the Bible and we'd look at scriptures related to people and communities and working together and stuff. And then they'd develop one and then we'd share it and share thoughts on it. Then we'd talk about our week. How's your week been? 2 wins and a challenge. Come on, give me 2 wins and a challenge. They'll be like, such and such at school was nasty to me, but I had a really nice lunch. Something like that. But it's just what's happening in their world. Yeah. And then we'd pray and then we'd sing a worship song. We'd light a candle. And then when we're done, and it probably lasts like half an hour, 45 minutes. But to this day, we'd still do it. And that's how, when we are not 100% or we've got to make decisions that are going to impact everybody in our home, we can bring it. So we introduce like announcements like church, like these are the announcements that we've got going on. Guys, we are cutting back on this. We're not buying that. Christmas is going to be this year. Birthday is going to be, we are going on holiday this year. Like, we bring it in. And it allows them to know the expectations, but also gives them the platform to voice and be transparent in how they're feeling. So there's no shortage of people sharing how they feel. I love that. In our house. There's no shortage of, and it happens a lot around kitchen table. So we do kitchen table talks, even though it's a project service thing. Yeah. It's something that I do at home, I've done for years. Us sitting around a table and talking together, we could be there for good hours. Yeah, talking and just chatting the most. It could be anything. But the point is, everyone has an opportunity to speak, share, voice, and say, I don't really know what I'm doing with my career, or I feel a bit lost, or I need help with this. And I guess I recognise that now. It's certainly embedded in them, because even when I'm away, me and Nathan are away, they're still doing it. I'm getting voice messages. Mom, so this is how I'm feeling today. This is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, okay, I'm not around the table with you. I can't see your face. Let's have a face-to-face. Let's have a quick WhatsApp call. Let's check in. And it's just become automatic. Do you know what's crazy? My mum introduced family meetings when it was just me, my mum and my brother. Yeah. And we hated every moment of it. It was just like another chore. Family meeting, what? But the way it's pulled our family together
is just second to none. Now we call the family meeting when we've got things to address with her. Mum, family meeting, we need to talk about this. So Sab, you shared a little bit about having a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And I remember me and Om came to one of your events, a naked event, and we heard you and Nathan talk about this really openly and super transparent. And at the time, I just remember being in awe that you guys exuded so much transparency and literally put it out on the table for us to learn from. 4 weeks after, me and Omar experienced a miscarriage, and my first phone call was you.
I remember.
And because you'd shared openly, it caused me to gravitate towards what did Sab do in this moment that I need to learn from. Mm-hmm. So I called you, and that same evening you're at my house, you and Nathan. And these are the parts people don't see, which is why I wanted to talk about this, because people often see what we put out on social media, but those hard moments of life that come to test us, we don't post these moments.
No.
But you were there.
Oh, I'm honoured to have been there.
I can't explain to you how life-changing that evening was. Just what you shared, the prayer after.
Oh, wow.
You don't know the impact you've had on my life. You know today. But if you hadn't been transparent at Naked in this platform you and Nath have started, I would have never known to pick up the phone and call you. What birthed Naked?
That... basically what you've just said, that I mean, Naked, even though you're getting like this really curated version of it now, when we first started it was just after I'd had our last daughter, so Leah. So we're talking like 9 years ago. Gosh, that's ages. And I didn't think it was that long until I said it. But I know at the time when we were doing Naked, I wasn't the most affectionate. I wasn't tactile. I was in a place after just having our last baby. Leah was just like hard. I mean, I love her with all my heart, but I would have sent her back at the time when she was born. She was a very unhappy and unsettled baby. And when I mean unsettled, I mean all she did was cry for like 2 years. Wow. So she didn't settle, she didn't go to nobody. And she knows this because she's heard me tell her. And I look at her now, you'd be like, that child. That child. She came to try us in a way that I've never experienced before. And I didn't have the capacity to know what to do with myself or anyone else. I just was like in a place. But that was putting a strain on our relationship. So intimacy, sex, all that stuff was out the window. And at the time, Nathan was like, I can't be the only man going through this. So now he's got his way of saying this story, which will make everybody laugh. But the reality was that it was impacting our relationship. So we just said, actually, because I was wearing like I mean, you know what, I'll tell you. Western Union bandana to bed, proper fluffy pajamas that are indicating you are not getting access to me. Like, leave me alone. Don't touch me, don't talk to me. I'm just about surviving life, because that's how I felt. I didn't feel attractive. I was massive. And everything was just not there. I didn't feel like Sabrina that after other babies, I felt like with Aaliyah, I just didn't. I felt low. And I know now that I had postnatal depression, but at the time it was just get on with it, because you've got 3 other children that need your life. And everybody was like, how are you coping? To see the word cope, I hate it. It's just,
is there such thing?
But how are you coping with 4? I'm like, what do you mean, how am I coping with 4? How am I supposed to answer that question? So it didn't make me feel good about myself. That automatically made me feel like I'm obviously not coping, because you're asking me how I'm coping. Like so we did this event at Frederick's Bar, and we got the room together, and we went in. We talked about what the biblical meaning of marriage is. We talked about sex and intimacy. Talked about pushing a hand away. We talked about attire. We talked about all sorts of stuff. And that was then. Fast forward to today, and even last year when we did the follow-up Nakeds and stuff, the relationship stuff that we're talking about is very evident in today's society. Like the people that are coming to us and asking for help. But one of the things that I felt I wasn't doing was telling enough of the circumstances and situations that we'd been through. So miscarriage, we know so many people that have been impacted by miscarriage and the devastation. But with self-reflection and with time, you're able to look at how did you deal with that as a couple, actually.
For sure.
Nathan said, I didn't deal with it. I rushed Sabrina through the process because I'm like, come on, we're starting to see growth and productivity in our business. You haven't got time to be depressed and low. You got to come on, we've got work to do. And I just wasn't. So he didn't allow me that grace at the time to go through that. And I guess it was only after, so in terms of timeline for miscarriage, the miscarriage was exactly a year before Willow was born. So
no way.
Yeah, a year to the exact date. Willow was born on the day our previous baby would have been born. So my whole pregnancy with Willow was just a thing. I was just nervous, anxious.
And Willow's your third, right?
Willow's the third.
Yeah.
Character in the house. As you meet her, she's like,
yes, performer
in the house. Spirited, she's there. But so all of that, and even how I carried her and how I was nervous and scared, I know that she's felt some of that overprotection. I am super protective of her, more than the rest, because of what happened before.
For sure.
But in terms of dealing with it and sharing it, I felt like it was important because we don't talk about, we've started to.
Yeah.
But the reality of the impact of that on your relationship, on your marriage, am I supposed to be sad? Am I supposed to have got over this by now? Does he even understand how I feel?
Yeah.
It didn't happen to him, it happened to me.
Yeah.
That was a very real conversation. You didn't feel it. You didn't
Not how I felt it, right?
I felt it. And you're saying Sabrina had a miscarriage? No, we lost a baby.
Yeah.
So stop saying it because it's not my fault. And it felt like that. So there was a lot of conversation that needed to be had.
For sure.
And I guess in having that conversation and being where we are now, it's like, okay, let's talk about that with others and let's make sure that those maybe mistakes that we made, even though everyone's unique way of grieving and going through things, but there were things that we didn't have to experience and the feelings that we probably didn't have to feel if we'd have had a chat with someone who's been through it.
So powerful. And what was really eye-opening for me and Omar was when you came to the house, you came with a card and flowers.
Yeah.
And I told family and no one did that. And it was really mind-blowing for me because it made it feel more real, if that makes sense.
You've been through something.
Like I was sharing with family and it was like, okay, yeah, you'll be fine. And then you come and it's like, no, this is actually happening.
This is real?
It was just so needed.
Oh my God.
So needed. And as I said, you don't know the impact you've had in our life. Massive.
Wow.
But we're forever grateful for that. I wanted to move on to, that's just one of your ventures. Naked is just one. Sab's got many. First Class Foundation, Legacy Consultants, Between the Sheets podcast. Yeah. All of these different ventures happening, which probably cause you to pivot in different ways. Yeah. What's your favourite?
Oh, don't ask me that. That was the surprise. Yes. What's my favourite
one?
Oh, goodness me. Favourite venture? Between the Sheets. Oh, well, the Nathan and Sabrina stuff. So the Between the Sheets and Naked. Yeah. That stuff's my favourite because I feel like that's where I get to disseminate the juice and where I can really just be totally transparent and honest about how things really are.
Right.
In the charity, it's a charity. I have to do the work of the charity. Sure. In Legacy Consultants, it's consultancy, it's trainings, it's a different thing. But when we can do things like this, when I can share and talk to you, when I can deliver a workshop or facilitate a speech, anything like that, I feel like, that's where
you feel more in flow.
Yeah. I feel like I'm at the center of my purpose when I'm doing that stuff.
Wow.
Whereas the stuff is connected to my purpose, the other bits. But in terms of me feeling 100% like I could do this all day, it's the Nathan and Sabrina stuff.
I love that. And one thing I've really enjoyed seeing, particularly this year, is seeing more of you. I know that's probably interesting to hear, but
no, it's not. It's not. You're not the first person to say that. Nah.
And I've spoken to other women who feel the same. Yes, we feel like we're getting more of Sab, which is really cool because obviously I've been connected with First Class for a long time. Yeah. You guys gave me my first platform to speak, and I fell in love with speaking. Yeah. But I always felt like we didn't see you at the forefront of it.
No. I default to the background.
Is that where you feel more comfortable?
I'm super comfy. Yeah, man. Yeah. just leave me over. I can do things. Like I can, this is why I can do all the stuff, because I'm doing the stuff. Like I'm getting on with it. And I feel sometimes being in the forefront, I could be doing something, like just standing here smiling. I could do something. I'm always, I guess as well, and it's me not blowing my own trumpet. Yeah. But I've always been self-conscious in a way that she's a pretty woman, like she's attractive, she's smart, she's intelligent, she speaks a certain way. Yeah. And people, I have been in places where people have just stood and stared at me. And so actually, are we over there? Because I've got things to do. I know I can be quite distracting sometimes, especially if my hair isn't blonde and it's pink. For sure. I know that, I'm aware of that. And so I'm just like, you know what? Do I have to go to the event? Do I have to do a social media thing? Like social media for me, oh my God. Do you not like it? Struggle so much. Yeah. I've tried so hard. Yeah. I coach myself. I have self-talk. I have people talk to me and I do lots of things and I still don't like it. Okay. I still don't like it. I'm private naturally. And I also think the work should speak for itself. Right. But there comes a point when people need to know who's doing the work. For sure. And that's where we've got with the charity. So you have seen more of me. You'll see more of me now, especially with the Nathan and Sabrina stuff and podcast stuff. How do you feel about that? Do you feel a bit vulnerable? Oh gosh. Romanah, the things that have happened since. If I'm honest, we straddle a very tight line because we do community work. Yeah. And we work with some of the most vulnerable people in the society who are striving and want to achieve. And then we work with corporate groups. And so we have to be very careful about what we do, because sometimes we're trying to get the community on side. For sure. And, you know, it's really hard when you look like you've made it to get people on side. It's really hard for them to sometimes understand the journey that you're walking. So it's been really difficult, I have to say, to kind of manage that. And not that it matters what people think, really. It's about what we think of ourselves. But it does matter when you know that you're trying to save lives over here and protect people from doing crazy stuff over here. So it's been a challenge. As we've emerged, we've had to fight new levels of conflict, new levels of competition, new levels of hatred. We've had not very nice things said. Not, you know, social media is it's an interesting world. It's rough, and people are really, really people. That's the best way to say it. Like, not everybody comes with the right heart. So even if they are with you, you think they're with you, sometimes they're not actually for you. They're with you, they're standing there, but they're not for you. And we've learnt that very much so. I was reading one of your blogs most recently. Oh gosh, which one? You're about to find out. I was reading one of your blogs and the subheading said, "It doesn't start in the office." It doesn't start in the office. Our work always starts with prayer. Yeah. Every morning we join in prayer and go through the week. This gives us the opportunity to share our concerns, talk through upcoming events and items. And this is a blog where you're talking about how you navigate working with your husband. Yeah. Prayer. What does that look like in terms of working and then switching off and being husband and wife? Oh, we are really good at that. Really? Yeah, we are really, really good at that. And that is because we have systems. I know, guys, we have systems in place to safeguard our relationship, because it is Christ, family, and everything else. That is KFC, Christ, family, career. That's how we live. So yeah, quite rightly, we start everything off with prayer on a Monday morning. Well, every single day at 8:30, we come together and pray. Wherever we are in the world, whatever time it is, we come together and pray. Wow. I was in Las Vegas earlier this year. We still came together to pray, even though he was like, okay, you don't need to. And is that every day? Every day we pray at 8:30. Every single day. Monday to Friday. Weekends, not so much, but Monday to Friday, we pray at 8:30. The Monday in particular is a planning call. So Nathan, I'm blessed. He does a school run. Okay. I don't do that in the morning anyway. I did the after school bit. He will take the girls. I'll have devotional at 8. About 8:30 we'll have our prayer. Okay. That is then followed by planning, whiz through the week. Yeah. Because we work together, we own the charity, we own the business, we have our brands and different things. Our lives can get like, for sure. Like meetings and school run, and there's still children and we still have to eat and all these different things have to happen. So we go through the calendar and literally hour by hour, whatever's in there, we look at that. We remove things out, or do we really want to do that? And we take it out, or we add things in. On top of that, we share a calendar.
Okay.
So Google's great.
Yeah.
Share your calendar, guys. Tip number 1. You have a calendar. Nathan has a calendar. Family has a calendar. So the girls are part of the calendar. They can see the calendar of where we are, what we're doing. Not business, but just like family stuff. The staff are on the calendar. So you can switch on and switch off who can see what.
Right.
So each person has the calendar. We have our own private one for surprises and stuff. But yeah, we have a calendar. So Nathan can see, if I was to open my phone now, you would see like, I'm here with you.
Recording this.
That's in the calendar. He knew I was coming. I didn't have to tell him. It's in the calendar. Before that, I had another meeting. On Friday, it's a finance meeting. So there's certain things that are sort of stationary. Then it's like, well, we've got a prayer thing later on this evening. Then, so we can see where we're going and what we're doing. I hate asking, where are you?
Yeah.
Man,
you don't want to have to do that.
I'm not your mum. I know I'm the girl's mum, but I don't want to ask them either. Yeah. Like, use the calendar.
Put it in, please.
Tell me where you, but yeah.
Yeah.
You, Tamina, you doing flying? Okay, when's your next lesson? When's your next flying thing? Oh, it's Wednesday at this time. Okay. I know it's going to impact us because where she has to go is an airport, so we have to get her there. All of this stuff, performing arts, piano, the parents' evening, in the calendar, the organisation. And then in terms of switching off, 8 o'clock is, it's earlier than that now because, man, I'm not waiting that long. But
phones off, family time. And I do things that they probably don't realise, but I plan things like sacred weekends where there is nothing in the calendar. Oh, okay.
So like, I'll say, you can't do that this weekend. Like, but why there's nothing in the calendar? Exactly. There's nothing in the calendar. And that doesn't happen. Yeah. So, but 8 o'clock is really critical. And in our earlier relationship, when our children were younger and, they don't sleep and you're tired and you've got work and this and that, 8 p.m. was the cut-off point where we'd turn off phones, turn off everything. The girls would have to go to bed. Yeah. And me and Nathan would have that time.
Wow.
We'd sit and watch a movie. We might fall asleep. We might have a conversation. Might have a drink. Whatever.
But it
was together, and it was not about work. And, lockdown came and kind of messed that up a little bit. We then started doing date nights in the house because you couldn't go anywhere. Yeah. And then that transpires. We do crazy things now, like go for drives to Starbucks at 24-hour Starbucks at like 12 o'clock at night.
Love it.
We'll go out and we don't work Wednesdays now. So again, that's time we just spend together. And sometimes I choose to catch up on work if we've agreed that.
Yeah.
And other times it's like, let's just go for a walk, or let's go to Cannock and just chill. Let's go for food or whatever it is. But we've been very instrumental and very, very, very kind of like relentless about our time, because everybody else will take it.
I need to adopt that. You've said it a couple of times and I've really been trying and I'm failing miserably.
Adopt what?
I'm going to be honest. That boundary of switching off.
You have to teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
So if you know that it might not be every day at 8:30, like it could be, that's definitely going to be a push here. But you could say, you know what, mate, Fridays, I work half a day, mate.
Yeah.
And you have to tell yourself, because
that's where it starts.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
Because everybody else will do what you say. But if you don't do it, then well, why? I'm very, like, people say, can you meet with me on a Wednesday at 2? No, I don't work on Wednesdays. But no.
Something I had to recently introduce was 2 phones. So I have one work phone and one personal phone. Before I had just one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Biggest mistake.
I've done that. Well,
people calling me at all hours.
They have no respect.
And I think I spoke to you and you were like, saying something about the phone switching off at a certain time or whatever, and I was like, I'm going to make the decision.
I do that.
Get a personal number.
I've got a personal number and I've got a work number, and I've also developed like I've got modes in my phone. So there's work time, focus time, this, that, the other time, and I have really kind of found myself feeling so much more stress-free.
Yeah,
because you can't get to me, and
it's
I don't
access, isn't it?
Oh man, there's something about being busy. I think we've subscribed to this. I'm busy and this and that, but are you?
Are you productively
what are you
busy?
Doing? Just responding to everybody, but you're not actually getting anything done. So there you go. You can have that one for free.
What's next for Sabrina?
Sleep.
What do you think is the next pivot?
What's next?
I know you can't always see a pivot, but
no, I can see it clearly.
Really?
Yeah. CEO. There's something about being directed and guided by the spirit, and we are there right now. So we are developing our 10-year strategy for the next 10 years. I'll be 40 next year.
Wow.
And I'm so looking forward.
Exciting times.
I'm so looking forward to it. But in terms of what I wanted to achieve and do within this like last 10, 15 years, I've done it. And so for me now, it's really about legacy. It's about planning for the future where I retire within that 10, after that next 10 years. I'm looking to slow down completely and stop. So there's a lot of the decisions that I'm making now are very much kind of, they might feel a bit uncomfortable to some. And even for me, because they're impacting what I'm going to do in the next 10. I do see myself writing a bit more, being a bit more out there.
Yes. Vulnerable to the world. Can't wait.
Talking more and sharing more, but it's about dissemination, sharing how we've done charity, how we've set up a charity, we run a charity, how we've reached 6 figures, 7 figures, how we do this stuff, how we can be successful Black British business owners in Birmingham and do well, you know, and talk about more family, how we've raised our daughters. I had a vision, and we did this while I was away in summer as a family. Nathan's like, oh, tell me your vision, where you see yourself in the far off future.
So when you talk about legacy, what does that look like?
That looks like me having a plan, us, not me, but us as a family, having that complete package plan of what happens beyond Sabrina and Nathan. Okay. So what happens is, you know, we've established things, we've set things up, there's residual income so that we're not thinking, but also the terms of the charity and stuff, it's happening without me. It's happening without Nathan. Legacy Consultants is the same. It's really not about starting anything new. It's about ending well. And it's about making sure that what we've created is sustained and sustainable beyond us. Yes. So that's where I'm at. I'm not really interested in a new thing. I'm not interested in showing off about what we're doing. I'm really on a thing about building. We've already laid a very great foundation, I think, for the charity, the business, and even Nathan and Sabrina stuff.
Good.
But for me now, it's about, building that legacy and disseminating, sharing it. So, you know, we've got kids coming up that need to know how to do things and how to win and not make the mistakes that we've made and learn how to work together. So, there's a whole, it looks very different. And it might mean that some of the glitz and the glamour that you see now, you don't see, because I'm not really on that. I'm on we've got to build because it's sustained without me. That's the key thing. Without me in the way.
And that's so important. The guest I had on before you, Darren Richards, has just recently wrote a book and I read it in a week.
Wow.
And it's called The Playing Parable, How to Lift Off, Lead and Succeed, Not Succeed.
Yeah.
And it absolutely changed my life in a sense of sometimes as founders and business owners, we can hold on to what we've birthed and not work ourselves out of the picture.
No.
Ultimately we need to, right?
I could not agree more. Like succession planning is something that majority of Black owned businesses don't plan for.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in the church. So like you've had like the Windrush generation come establish the Black church in the UK, but then there wasn't necessarily a succession plan for some of those ministries. Right. So what happens to those ministries? I do think, especially for a charity, in particular for the charity, that succession plan has already been written. I've written myself out of the way. And
love it.
I don't see myself doing this stuff in the very short term. Yeah. Like there's a shift. Yeah. There's another pivot, I guess. That's where we're headed. But I'm excited because it's an opportunity to really help other people to lift off now. You know, there's room for everyone to grow.
Step into their own right.
They need to. And they don't. Nathan and Sabrina can't be out there in 10 years' time talking about the same thing. Like, what on earth? That's not progression. Yeah. And that's not legacy. That's not leaving it better than we found it. That means to leave it better than I found it, I have to leave it.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They stay in the limelight because their identity is attached to what they do.
Yeah, but I was never... I mean, in another episode, in another day, we could talk about that. But I was never Sabrina going to do first class. That I wasn't even part of the plan originally. Now I think I've built something that together we've built something, but I've created something that I do believe is sustainable without me. It's sustainable 100%. Without people if we do it right.
I've got the young people that come to my dance classes that say, when I left school today, we had the people in the purple jackets. And I'm like, you don't even realise, that's my friend's charity. So that people don't realise what you've built, but the brand speaks for itself in so many different powerful and amazing
that's
ways.
Amazing. That's nice feedback.
Yeah, really nice to hear. Sab, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Can you leave our guests with one key takeaway on how to pivot?
I would say this, and I look straight into the camera. Don't be afraid. Just do it. I believe that every instruction, every experience, every place and space that you enter as an individual will teach you something. It's it's what you do with what you've been taught. Right. At the end of the day, we all had to pivot in 2020. Every single one of us, we had to learn how to stay home, stay safe, protect the NHS. Yeah. We had to learn how to wash our hands, keep our 2-meter distance. We had to learn all these different things, and we did it. Okay, some of us felt things along the way, and we're seeing the fallout of that now. But you still did it. You gotta feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, you can't allow fear to stop you. Fear of the unknown is the unknown, but once you take the step, you can see it. Right. And I believe that faith is evident in that. So once you take a step, you kind of get the floor raised up to meet you where you're at. And it's like, okay, I'm still standing. I'm still alive. I can do it. I've been through all sorts. Life has happened. You know, I don't have a rags to riches story per se, but life happens to everyone. Just do it. Trust your gut. Trust the Holy Spirit is your guide, and you'll be fine.
Sab, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Always blessed by you and your wisdom.